Welcome back to Final Sector after the feels like break, unofficial break where races should have been but they're not. But we're gonna hit the ground running now with F1 basically until our next break, which is Yonkers away.
Yes.
So we are preparing for Azerbaijan, Baku. Kind of a bit of a recent edition, but a bit of a favorite edition. And there's a few little things to talk about here and there. I was looking at the corner of my eye before this, and I thought I'd go, what's actually happening? Are there any changes? What's going on here? Australia, we had a fair amount. Haven't heard much here. And there's a few little things I'm seeing popping up, so we'll go into those.
Yep.
But yeah, for now, you excited to have F1 back?
Yeah, it's actually, I haven't really thought about F1 literally at all, like the last 3
Yes.
weeks, like after the weekend.
Because
of
it was
the
such a
Australian-
big event for us, so we're
Huge,
kind of
yeah,
just like,
massive,
I
like-
need a bit of a break because we
Yeah,
were just
yeah.
immersed in it for
Yep,
like
yep,
5
yep.
days straight, just
Yeah,
nothing but. So,
Probably
same here.
with the fact that the debrief only just went up as we're recording
Yeah.
right now, which I was like, I kind of get it because I literally haven't even thought about it. I've only just finished sorting through all the video that I took from the Australian Grand Prix as well, now getting back into it. But yeah, it was a big weekend. I'm kind of glad from that aspect that we had a little bit of a break after such a big event. But yeah, really excited because I really like Baku, and it's also at a time that we can watch live, which is also something that we don't get very often.
Yes,
here in
of course,
Australia.
yes.
So, and being a sprint weekend as well, which I'm sure we'll get into as well a little bit. So.
Yeah, so we can chat about that. So I know coming up to this, there's been a few conversations on the sprint weekend, mainly because there's some questions of whether they should even be doing it here, because the thought is if there's extra chance for damage and such, some of the teams in particular, I know Christian Horner has been leading this to say that everyone's just either going to be super duper safe and they're not going to, bother racing it out, or someone's going to have a crash and it could completely stuff them, set things back later in the year because of the costs involved, because crashes here can be very costly if you get something wrong at high speed, as we saw last year. Those incidents down the straight did a lot of damage. So I was reading up and I wasn't sure. There seems to be some vote going on today with the drivers, and I wasn't sure if it was a vote to either like set it back or postpone it, because I know there's this separate talk where they're trying to shake up how the sprint race weekend works. They have like a
Yeah.
pre-qualifying for the sprint, but that's different to the grid. And I didn't get a chance to there was like half an hour ago some like update on it. I didn't get a chance to fully absorb it.
Yeah.
So I figured, well, we can piece it together now. I don't know if you know what's going on. It seems to be whatever
Yeah,
we
I know-
thought the sprint race weekend could be, they might be changing it up a little bit. Whether they're pulling it back, whether they're shortening it, I don't know.
yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. I pretty much have like the same info as you, I guess. I didn't realize there was a half hour ago update. Most of the stuff I've had was in the last sort of 12 to 18 hours.
Or what they were talking about in Australia when they were talking ahead, and they said we got to
Yeah.
look to this, and it's like, okay,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
So
the proposed changes obviously being that they have free practice 1, and then they have the qualifying like they do in a normal sprint weekend, but instead of having the second free practice on the following day, that's replaced by a second qualifying for the sprint race on the
Yes.
Saturday. So Saturday is entirely sprint race related. So I'm not against the idea. I've always if you've listened to me ramble about it enough on here, I've always been against the sprint race setting the grid for the feature race. I thought that was not a good idea in the first place. So I'm kind of glad that they are looking at maybe separating them a little bit to
yes, and having just like a
Yeah.
mini race with the big race,
yes,
which is
yeah.
interesting to think about.
Yeah, so I kind of I like the idea in theory, but it's whether or not like you say, if it will actually improve, like if drivers will actually think about, or do we just need to conserve, or will they go hard out in the qualifying for this sprint, assuming it goes ahead as well, or will they just be like, because there's not as many points on offer, did they just not kind of bother? Or in saying that, like if the top teams want to protect their engines and they don't want to run them quite as hard, and some of the
Yeah.
lower teams maybe, let's say an Aston is like they want to prove something, they want to be on the pole position for a race. They've been very close already. Say Red Bull, they don't want to risk frying their engines for the end of for the race or for the rest of the year. And Aston are like, all right, we'll turn it up. and they go out there and set pole, and get some good points. That's the only way I can maybe see a little bit of mix up. But yeah, it's really hard to say right now.
Yeah, for the mix-up thing, yeah, I guess I'm thinking more on... Because the implication is a little odd, right? Because the point of the sprint is so, although it adds something in the middle, the quali is still connected to the sprint, which is connected to the race. Of course, you got the practice, which isn't connected, but it's practice. It's out on its own. It's not a regulated thing. It only comes into effect if quali has to be skipped, which is extremely rare. And even then, they try to get quali in Sunday morning, whatever, when they can, if it has to be cancelled for the Saturday.
Yeah.
So almost isolating it where you have a separate sprint and quali that's like a different thing almost feels like running a mini event in the big event.
Yeah.
And I'm not against that because look, more racing is cool, but it's still like it's a curious thing. Like we're almost thinking on it comparing to the current sprint setup. But if you look at it as a vacuum as its own thing, almost just saying, hey, F2 and F3 have sprints, sure they do it for reverse grid other reasons. But now if one's gonna have a sprint, you go, it's interesting. I mean other series have sprints or 2 races in a weekend, like in some GT racing categories.
Supercars,
they'll have 2-3 hour races. Or supercars, they might have a short race, a big race, split it in half.
Yep.
So it's almost like opening up that pocket I've never thought about for F1, doing that, having like a mini race and a big race. And I like doing the qualifying from the main race first, because then if that's the one that matters, you know, if you work out kind of what worked, what didn't, and you bring that to the sprint quali, then it's not like it's the other way around. You do the sprint quali, which is almost like a practice quali, right?
Yeah,
the sprint.
true.
So at least, if they're going to do it this way. But it's interesting.
Yes.
I haven't made up. I'm kind of unpacking it live. That's just the point, I guess.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Look, we'll follow the news, I guess, this evening and into tomorrow. Whether they're voting to change it to that, whether they're trying to say, can we actually postpone this thing because A, it's Baku, and B, let's actually think about this, talk about it. It'll yet to be seen, but that would be interesting. I'm not sitting here going, ew, what the hell? I'm like, but I'm like that anyway. I like a bit of change, a bit of trying.
You are a little bit more open-minded than I am in terms of that.
Yeah, as long as if you try it and it's crap, then I hope that they bin it, right? But if you just want to try it, I'm like, please go for it. I like change.
Yeah.
I like things. So
yeah,
that is interesting.
Yeah,
and to your points, you could have someone who maybe aims more for the sprint, you know, or pushes a bit harder in quali, or unlocks something, you know, something secret or whatever. So
and I think particularly for Aston at the moment, that could be those points. Could be the difference between, say, a P2 and P3 in the championship come the end of the year, particularly if they're in a fight with Mercedes towards the end of the year. I still can't see them being in a fight with Red Bull. I think Red Bull are on their own, but I mean, it's a decent enough chunk of points that I think teams will have to seriously consider the possibility of going for it. I'm still in two minds about it because I feel like it's again the sprint format. It still feels like in F2 and F3 they have a format that. How long have they had it? How long have they had the sprint format in F2, F3?
Oh, for a while. Yeah, they've tweaked it.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, that's proven to produce some pretty damn good racing. And I realized that it's maybe a little more of a novelty.
It's trying to mix it up, and because F2, F3 in particular is trying to give the drivers a chance to show what they are, right? So the best drivers you see are those in the sprint that do the wacky things like Charles Leclerc and Bahrain pitting, you know, when there was no pit stops and he charged through the field, and that's when you go, wow, that, you know, it's a chance to see that. Well, in F1, you don't really need to, you know, manufacture people to be cheeky because like they've made it to F1. That's not the point. And I guess F1's big thing is it has all this work up and prep to the big event. So you could do something on the side, but then again, there's this talk of F1's DNA is this now stretching across it because the whole point is you have this several days of build up, the Thursday of the track walk, the media, the Friday, the practice, the Saturday, you know what I mean? So it's nice to have more F1, more racing, but it's also like, does it pull away from that build up, that excitement?
We just have to wait and see whether or not it even goes ahead. Might not even go ahead. Chances are we'll finish recording this and 10 minutes later they'll announce it, which will be our luck.
So I guess the point is, and we started talking about it a little bit, who do we think is strong here? And I guess that leads into a little bit for
It's
our
Red Bull.
predictions
Red Bull.
as well.
Red Bull is
But
strong.
yeah. So we talked about it in Australia. Straight line speed is excellent here, which raises the interesting point with Aston, because going into Australia, the question was, well, they look great in the low speed, mid speed, and the kind of the high speed corners, but just down the straights, they seem to be a little down and high on drag. Part of why they're good in the corners, right?
Yep.
But they weren't that bad in Australia. Yes,
And
it
Saudi.
wasn't like. And Saudi, that's true. Yes. So for both the straights of those areas, they weren't as bad as maybe feared. I guess the thing is that Australia, they still, you'd say maybe the Merc was a little better than a car on it. Whether that was just down to the straights or other things, I guess I haven't gone into that level of detail myself, but I still think they may struggle here the most out of so far, given that it's just kind of a dead straight and lots of little straights, which they seem to, be their weaker spot. But really, it's here in Monza you're going to have the worst of that, and there's, other places in theory like Singapore and such, they should dominate other teams, so that's just how it works, having varied cars in F1.
Yep.
So I guess it's a matter of, who do we think really is going to be the second fastest car here, and of course there's a bit of talk in the midfield too. Do we think this is Williams' last hurrah to really get a strong result before they kind of go to some other tracks they might not be as strong at? A few implications there. So what are you thinking so far?
Yeah, I mean, Red Bull will be way out ahead. They just
outside of Red Bull. Yes.
It's hard because Mercedes obviously are still. They're a
loose cannon, because it's like we thought we knew their strengths or weaknesses, and I still don't know at all. I'm guessing. I guess they were good on the straights, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't.
Their strengths is their starts.
Yes, their start. Well,
we know they can start well. They've fixed that from last year.
Hopefully. I don't know if it's necessarily their strength or just Red Bull's weakness. I think it's more a Red Bull weakness than it is necessarily.
I think Red Bull weakness and the Aston and Mercedes seem to be quite good together.
Yes,
I don't say any's better than each other, but compared to the Red Bull,
that Aston in particular off the line is absolutely mighty.
Yes, and nimble too. Yes. They can immediately swing it around everywhere.
Yep. So, yeah, I don't know. Outside of Red Bull, I don't know who's going to be fast. I don't know, because Mercedes could be, but I they could be second, they could be seventh fastest. I don't know. They're such an enigma at the moment. I can't have any prediction regards to them. I do think Aston, despite their lack of high top end speed, I think they will still be pretty strong. I expect to probably see them top 3 teams regardless. Ferrari, they tend to be pretty good down the straights normally, but again,
we have no idea.
I don't know what they're doing.
Are they going to be running
year?
at full beans?
Yeah.
Have they been running at full beans? Are they just at 70%? What are we doing?
Are they going to take another penalty because they've already taken penalties from?
Are they going to turn up?
Yeah, who knows?
We are racing.
Could you see another team in the mix? I don't really
know.
True. Alpine, I don't know. Alpine have had some good top end speed in the last couple of years. They could
Haas seems to get there.
Yep. But generally their race pace is a bit lacking. But although Hülkenberg was okay,
it was a good sign. So yes,
it's
I think what we know is outside of Red Bull, we're still sitting here in
don't
sport going everything else we don't know, which is not a bad problem to have. I don't think it's out of don't think it's out of lack of research or anything. I think it's more just everyone's figuring stuff out. Is that McLaren suddenly going to be quick? In the next few races, they're starting to bring some bigger things, as is a lot of teams. I don't know if it was this early. Any teams are going to bring anything substantial. I know a few of them in testing said Baku was their estimate, but they may have pushed it back. But some teams could surprise that we won't know until they open the garage doors. It's been a long break. We could suddenly see a team that's ahead of schedule. So
I know there was definitely some talks
of
Thursday. Particularly like Mercedes trying to improve drivability, and a couple of other teams looking to bring some things to Baku, because there was such a long break. They can just purely focus on development and getting the right parts ready for.
And if you can get in your parts to test for high speed as well, this is probably going to be your best place to do it for
very,
a little bit
very
too.
true. Yeah, I think the only downside is because it is a sprint weekend, they don't have a lot of time to test it on track. They've got the one free practice session, and then maybe FP3
because they go into Parc Ferme Friday evening before the quali, right?
Yeah, so they pretty much get 1 hour session, and then it's into a
It needs to be
qualifying
something
race.
pretty safe that you're testing, and then
Yep.
you'd guess the next few weekends. I think we talked about kind of, I think it was Canada and places like that for like proper big upgrades, which are more tracks that are varied, and they then have the time just to test everything for all 3 sessions.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, definitely. So,
But we'll see. We may see some low drag wings. We saw a few of
Yep.
them in Australia, but here's the place to really pull them out. So who knows? It could be, as I say, any team could suddenly find a lot of speed on the straight, but don't know if they'll be able to. What are they going to say? Grow wings like the Red Bull down the straight.
Nah,
don't
no
know about
chance.
that.
No chance at all. I think they've got it absolutely covered.
So, for our predictions last time out, you did quite well. I guess we have the 4 predictions going forward now, and I guess we have to factor in the sprint prediction as well, which I was thinking about before. I made a note on.
What are we doing for that?
I was trying to remember what we did last year. I don't know
I
if
don't
we just
remember.
predicted the winner. Well, we used to do winner, sprint, winner, race. This year we're doing podium. So I'm pretty sure we
Yeah.
just do winner of the sprint. I made a note.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not going to overcomplicate it. Winner, sprint.
Yep. Fair enough.
Fastest lap of the sprint gets the point.
Oh my god.
From the predictions from Australia anyway, you got 2 out of 4 for first, Max, third, Alonso. So bravo, so well done.
thank
I
you.
just get the 1 for Max. I overestimated on the Alonso for P2 and the Checo for P3, so we kind of know how that.
Well, you
that
get
went
half
down
a
for
point
the-
because you predicted Alonso.
Oh, because you
P2,
still get them
yes.
on there. You're
Yeah,
right. I was wondering how you
yep.
got the half point earlier. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
remember how you got a half.
You're nearly cheating yourself out of a half point.
I don't know how my own game show works.
yeah.
It's been too long. So, in summary, you are on 5.5, and I am on 4. Yes. No, that's not right. You were.
3.
I've written these, but I'm on 3.
0.5. 3.5.
I wrote down my
'cause
notes.
You're on 2.
I'm on
so now-
3.5. You're on 5.5.
Yeah, there we go.
Let me redo that bit, so
Okay.
you can. Unless you want to keep it in, I'll let you decide how you're going to do this. I
Okay,
don't care.
that's fine. I'll figure it out. Before we go on, no Sonoda P11. Very disappointing.
Boo.
Missed that.
Even though, for the record, he
Yeah.
did deserve the point. He drove well, but still, that's not the
Yeah,
point.
yeah, that's fine. We needed the P11. We needed it, and it's gone, and
We
we're
needed
really
it.
sad. We can never get
We've
that
lost a
back.
viewer.
Yeah.
Let's do our roll of the dice. The number is P14. I'm going to go... I haven't got one yet. I wanted to snipe you. I'm going to go Guan Yu Zhao.
Okay.
Or Zhao Guan Yu.
Okay.
Boom.
I did have that was one of the thoughts I had, but I don't think I was going to end up going him. I'm going to
Ah.
say who do I want to pick though? Let's say I'm going to say Carlos Sainz.
Oh.
And I'm going to say he's either going to have some kind of issue or he's going to get a bad strategy call and he's going to have to recover and he's not going to be able to. Ferrari's season started so badly that it's probably something that could happen to them. I'll be pretty happy if I get that one correct because I think that's a bold call, that one.
We'll get one. It's not just the viewers that get them. We'll get one.
We'll get one day.
For the sprint race, should we say who takes P2? Is that more fun?
I feel like it would be, hey, yeah.
Right, who takes P2? We're doing it on the fly.
On the-
We're doing
on
it
the
on the fly.
Qualifying for the... Oh, it really depends if they go with the... Because the thing that's...
I know, you got to guess
No, no.
depending on the...
Yeah, because the thing is, if they do separate qualifying, it's going to be in the morning instead of the afternoon. It's going to be quite hot and abrasive on the tyres. So you have to really take that into consideration as well.
If they're doing it like that.
Yeah, just say Perez. It's just going to be Perez, isn't it? It's going to be Perez. Perez will
I
be
know.
P2.
I was going to say it, but if you picked it, then I will go...
It's just-
kind of... No, I'll go...
To be different, I'm going to go Perez.
I'll go Hamilton.
Ooh, okay. Oh, you think they'll be strong? Or I don't know. Do you think they'll be strong, or you think they'll just get lucky? And...
I think in the sprint,
Yeah.
I think they do quite well in the first phase of races before they fall off. So I'm just gonna go with that. I think keep it simple. Choose something different rather than doubling down with what you've got.
Yep, fair enough.
For the record, I would have gone, as I say, if you went with someone else. But
Yeah,
let's keep it.
I was just thinking, I'm like, I can't see it being anyone other than Perez. I just thinking of the qualifying. They're gonna be
Yes.
1 and 2 unless something. Well, I guess Australia something crazy happened with Perez's. Whatever, it's fine. We
Yes.
talked about that.
Yes.
But it can happen.
We miss
so-
Australia. Bring
yeah.
it back.
Yeah.
So for the main race,
Mhm.
my question is, do you have anything then the status norm for P1 and 2? Or is there only P3 that's interesting to talk about? I'll go first. My P1 and 2 is Red Bull, Max to Checo. So you take the floor from here for your 3. Take your time.
Listen, I'm gonna be honest. The P1-2, it's gonna be the same. I am still thinking about that P3 though. So
yes,
on screen
P3
it's Mac.
is
it's
what
Max
I
Pros.
yes.
Yep.
Took a little bit to think about.
Yeah, you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'm just gonna go Alonso P3 again. I'm just gonna say it.
Safe
I think
bet.
you know what? Until it stops working for me, it stops getting me more points than you. I'm gonna keep going with it. Just stick with the formula. You know what? The day I get 1 point instead of 1.5, 2 points every weekend, you know what? I'll change. I'll do it. I'll throw my hands up and say,
only if I outscore you for 1 week, and it's because of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I wonder what the record is for a driver finishing. Maybe he's already got it, finishing third. No, because I
it's
guess
not been that many.
During the I don't know, Hamilton Rosberg, Ham Rosvet was a thing for ages. So
Ham Verbot
I reckon.
was a big one. Although I don't know how many was in a row.
Verbot.
But
no, that's the thing. I think more of a Vettel P3 would have. I could see more coming in a row.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's not going to be Vettel in P3. That would be quite a wild guess. I'm not going for that.
That would be incredible. He jumps.
That's not my guess.
He jumps in for Lance Stroll and then outperforms Fernando. Oh my goodness.
Anyway, that's not going to happen. I'm going to go with the man looking for retribution, looking for to make up for everything that happened in Australia, Mr. George Russell for P3.
Okay. Yep.
He felt very strong and quick out there, and I think if he works well with Hamilton, who I think also will be strong as per my sprint guess, I think they could be in a better position than any other car out there to manage the heat, the tyres, and the straights down there, and I think he will have the slight urge over Hamilton in the race.
Yep.
So
he has proven that already.
My
I just don't trust Mercedes at the moment. I don't like it at the moment.
You've never trusted Mercedes.
No,
what do you mean at the moment?
What?
This only just started now?
I don't trust. I don't trust them in I don't trust their pace or lack of pace. I don't trust anything at the moment. I don't trust any numbers. I don't trust any positions they get. I don't trust nothing. So just keep them out of it. And then
I don't trust anybody.
I don't trust nobody. Nobody for no reason. But I mean, I could also see them, being super strong again. But who knows?
Those are our predictions.
Yep.
If you've got predictions, let us know either in the comments if you're listening on YouTube, or if you are on Spotify, you can leave a reply to the question that's there, and we'll see it. We'll pop it up in case.
Yeah.
I think you can make it validated so other people can see it as well. So we'll be sure to do that.
Yeah.
And if you're listening on anything else, then go to our Twitter or to our YouTube or to our Spotify or anywhere that you can leave a comment.
We have a Twitter. That's right.
Yes, because if you are leaving comments on other places, that's news to me. I don't know if we're getting those. So thank you if you are. Maybe we'll get a notification one day. And go, thank you for letting us know.
Get the dust off the Twitter account.
Feel free to guess along. Let us know your predictions. As we say, the format could be different. It could be changed. I guess if you want to know what's going to happen, listen to someone else that does a preview live on the floor on the Thursday. There's plenty of great presenters that do that, so you can get all the details from them. And otherwise, we'll be back afterwards to wind down this race, which should be an interesting weekend.
Yeah, hopefully after already a really interesting start to the year. I'm curious to see it keep going. So, yeah,
for sure. All good. Well, take care all, and we'll catch you in the next video.
Bye-bye.